You're tired. Not just physically tired, though that too, but the kind of tired that doesn't go away even after sleep. The kind that lives in your chest, in the back of your neck, in that moment right before you check your phone for the 100th time today. You tell yourself it's just modern life, stress, too much to do, too many decisions, too much information. But here's what neuroscientists and evolutionary biologists have discovered. You're not tired because modern life is hard. You're tired because your brain is running on ancient software in a world it was never designed to understand. Let me show you what I mean. Right now, at this very moment, your amygdala, a small almond-shaped structure deep in your brain, is doing exactly what it's been doing for the last 200,000 years. It's scanning. It's listening. It's asking one simple question over and over. Is there a threat? Your ancestors needed this. In the African savanna, a threat meant a predator. It meant starvation. It meant being left behind by the group. It meant death. So evolution built a brain that was obsessed with danger. A brain that was faster at detecting threats than at recognizing safety. Faster at remembering what went wrong than what went right. That bias kept your species alive. Now, in 2026, you're not scanning a savanna. You're scanning a newsfeed. You're opening your email. You're wondering what people are saying about you online. You're watching a video about climate change at midnight. You're checking whether you've made a professional mistake. You're scrolling through what your friends are doing, your colleagues are doing, your competitors are doing. And your amygdala, the exact same structure that kept your ancestors alive, is treating every one of these as a potential threat, a social slight, a missed opportunity, a sign that you're falling behind, a piece of information that requires an immediate response. That is exhausting you. Neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux at New York University has spent decades mapping how the amygdala works. Here's what he found. Your threat detection system is fast, incredibly fast, faster than conscious thought, a sound, a face, a headline, and your amygdala has already triggered a stress response in your body before your conscious mind even realizes what's happening. Your cortisol spikes, your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes shallow. You're ready to fight or run. Except, there's nowhere to fight, nothing to run from, so that ancient alarm system just stays on, hour after hour, day after day. Your ancestors faced real threats, and then they were safe. The predator left, the food was found, the group accepted them. The threat ended, and their nervous system could reset. But you're living in an environment where the threats never end, because they're not real in the ancestral sense. They're abstract, social, psychological, informational. You can never fully eliminate them. And so, your nervous system, evolved over millions of years to handle physical survival, is stuck in a state of perpetual vigilance. This is called the ancestral mismatch, and it's not your fault. Here's where it gets interesting. Anthropologist Christopher Ryan at Rutgers University has spent years studying how human societies actually lived before agriculture. What he found challenged everything we thought we knew about stress. In pre-agricultural societies, what we think of as primitive, people actually worked less, about 15 to 20 hours a week for food, shelter, and survival. They had more leisure time than we do, more time with their families, more time to rest, more time to belong to a group. But, and this is crucial, when they did face a threat, it was real, immediate, physical, and it was survivable because the whole group faced it together. Then came agriculture. Around 10,000 years ago, humans stopped being nomadic hunter-gatherers and started farming. Suddenly, everything changed. You couldn't just move away from a threat anymore. You were tied to your land. You had to store food, which meant worrying about scarcity. You had to worry about enemies taking what you'd grown. You had to organize hierarchies, because now you needed coordination on a scale that tribal groups never did. And you had to compare yourself to others, because status, who owned more land, who had more resources, suddenly mattered for survival in a new way.
But even with all that, you still had one thing your brain could understand: a bounded community. You knew roughly 150 people. That's what anthropologist Robin Dunbar calls the Dunbar number, the cognitive limit to the number of people with whom any one person can maintain stable relationships. Your ancestors knew their threats. They knew their allies. They knew their place in the group. There was security in that clarity. Now you're connected to billions of people. You can see what any of them is doing anytime. You know about threats happening on the other side of the world. You're comparing yourself to people you've never met. You're measuring your success against standards that shift every week. You're part of hundreds of groups. Some you chose, some you didn't. And your brain, the same brain that evolved to track a tribe of 150, is trying to manage social standing in a network of billions. No wonder you're tired. Psychologist Jean Twenge has studied generational stress levels for 2 decades. She found something striking. Anxiety, depression, and psychological distress have risen dramatically in the last 20 years, especially among young people. Not because individual lives are objectively harder, many of us are materially more comfortable than our grandparents, but because our brains are facing a scale of social comparison, information overload, and perceived threat that evolution never prepared us for. Your amygdala is treating a negative comment on social media the way it would treat a predator. Your cortisol spikes, you ruminate, you imagine worst-case scenarios. You feel the urge to respond, to defend, to fix it immediately. And then another threat arrives, and another. Here's the thing that neuroscientists now understand. Your threat detection system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. The problem is the environment. Your brain is not malfunctioning. The world has just changed faster than evolution can keep up. So what do we do with this knowledge? Well, the first thing is this. You can stop blaming yourself. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're not failing at being a modern human. You're just a human whose ancient nervous system is trying to survive in a world it was never built for. That's not a personal failing. That's biology. The second thing is understanding what your brain actually needs. Your ancestors didn't evolve in a world of infinite information. They evolved in a world where you focused on one thing, survival within your group. They didn't have the neurological capacity to worry about 1,000 things at once, because nature never asked them to. But you're doing exactly that. Every open tab, every notification, every person whose life you're comparing yours to, each one is a small threat your amygdala is trying to track. And the third thing, the thing that's starting to emerge from sleep science, neuroscience, and anthropology, is that rest and community are not luxuries. They're biological necessities. Your ancestors' nervous systems reset through deep sleep because sleep deprivation was a rare luxury then, not a status symbol. Their threat detection systems downregulated through time with their community, through ritual, through rhythm, and predictability. Your ancestors' bodies produce less cortisol because their world, while genuinely dangerous, also had long periods of safety and belonging. You need those things too. Gently, not because you're fragile, but because you're human. Your biology hasn't changed. What's changed is that you're asking your ancient nervous system to process a modern world. And that requires intention. It requires boundaries. It requires saying no to some of the threats your amygdala wants to track. It requires sleep that you're not sacrificing for productivity. It requires community, real, face-to-face, stable community, not the phantom community of your phone screen. If this kind of deep human history and psychology is landing for you, following along genuinely helps this little channel keep going. And we'll keep exploring these patterns, how you got here, why you feel the way you do, and what your ancestors learned about living that we've somehow forgotten. So, let me ask you this. What if the exhaustion you feel isn't a sign that you're failing at modern life? What if it's a sign that modern life has fundamentally misaligned with who you are? What if your tired, anxious, overstimulated brain is actually the most honest thing about you? A signal that something in the way we're living now is out of sync with something ancient and real inside you. You told yourself you were just tired, but now you know better. Your ancestors faced real threats in a bounded world, and somehow they survived. What they learned about rest, about community, about the rhythm of danger and safety, that's still encoded in your body, still waiting, still there. If this shifted something for you, there's another one waiting.
It picks up right where this leaves off. Take care.